In that Whipple book, he details how the meltdown around the presidential debate where Joe Biden imploded. And he gets into great detail about how bad it was. He spoke with Biden's former chief of staff, who said, we were terrified. I expected a disaster. He couldn't make it through either of the debate preps. Right. He wasn't sure. He didn't seem to be aware of the fact that he was president. He thought he was president of NATO. Yeah. And yet they sent him off on stage. And apparently Joe Biden's sister, Valerie Biden, had a complete meltdown after seeing him on stage that night, blaming everyone around him. Probably not Jill, Dr. Jill, but everyone else. And here's a bit from that in that podcast, same podcast, Sat 24.
30 a.m. that evening, one of Joe Biden's best friends picked up his phone and saw that Valerie was on the line. She was distraught. She was in tears and she was furious and she could barely contain herself. She said, "What did they do to my brother at Camp David?" was her opening line. And she, again, couldn't go on much more than that. She was so distraught. She clearly was lashing out and blaming people other than Joe Biden, namely his debate team. And she called back the next morning. Again, called Biden's friend, said, how could they have done this? How could he have arrived just minutes before the debate? How could they not have given him decent makeup? You know, how did he wind up looking like Dorian Gray?
And indeed he did.
Yeah.
So what do you think? I think it's interesting all these people are coming out now because there's a couple of books, as I mentioned, trying to do like the deconstruction of what happened with the debate and Biden's presidency, et cetera. Is this a save your own ass effort or what is this?
I think there's this power struggle and no one knows who's going to be in charge of the Democratic Party. I think the Biden stuff, as we were going through these details, it really was shocking. I was shocked watching that debate. I had been criticizing. I've been saying, oh, this man has dementia or whatever, but I didn't realize it was like dementia.
Same.
That was way worse than I thought. And then you can't help at that point, but then think about everybody associated with him. And there's a lot of anger. I think that there's probably even more anger on the Democrat side. So I think these people are all positioning themselves to seem sort of like not the bad guy here. Mm-hmm. They want to come out and be associated with whoever the new fountain of power is going to be, but it's not going to be anybody associated with Biden. And I think roughly it's that.
Yeah, that makes sense. There was a young woman who worked in the White House under Biden who was on CNN. She was a campaign aide named Ashley Allison. She went on CNN on Wednesday. Listen to this woman, Sat 25.
Ashley, do you feel lied to?
Yeah, I do. I hadn't been around the president before that debate, and I worked for Joe Biden, and if the people around him knew that he was not capable, it is unacceptable to me that they allowed him to go onto that stage. I deserve better as a voter, not even as a Democrat, as a voter and as an American. I do.
This is ridiculous. We all knew.
Yeah.
We knew he was in bad shape. I agree with you. We didn't know it was DEFCON 1, but we knew it was like 2 or 3.
We knew it was bad. We were calling for a primary before. There were some Democrats who were like, hey, should we think about this?
Yeah.
Should we maybe run some other people? Mm-hmm. But I think that there's a positioning now to say,
I was also misled.
I was
like
misled.
The New York Times on COVID. We were misled.
Right. Who could have done this?
Right.
Who is responsible for this?
Let's dust for fingerprints.
Yeah, and that's good. They're going to jockey around and figure it out. Isn't the new book? It's Jake Tapper is one of the guys. It's just like I'm going to reserve judgment until that book comes out. I am excited to see what he has to say about it, but it's a tough pill to swallow.
I'll give you a prediction. He's going to say he was all over the mental acuity problem. And he'll probably have some examples.
I think the other guy, the other writer on that, I think.
Yeah, Alex Thompson.
I think he has more credibility.
He would have been fine. Nobody would have, that guy's ability to cast this stone is unquestioned because he was pretty tough even on the Kamala thing. He was tough all along. He was like a normal reporter should be. Jake's co-partnership on it complicates it. And for as many times as he may have mildly pointed it out, they didn't have the story. The left wasn't interested in the story. It's like I asked the New York Times when I sat down with them last week or whatever, it aired last week, Where was Peter Baker? Why wasn't he, where was your intrepid White House reporter figuring out that neurologists had visited the White House more than 10 times in a year?
Well, I think at that point they were just pot committed. They were like, this guy's running against Trump. Trump is Hitler in their mind. And so it doesn't matter. We have to run him. And I think that that's really what the story would have been had he not stepped down and he ran. It would have been that way all the way until the election, even after they had the debate.
I think the other piece of it is the left is losing its mind over Trump right now. They're so angry at what he's doing. It's like all their pet favorite causes, being attacked one by one. And so it's like, how did we get in this position?
Yeah.
Who let the infirm guy get all the way to that June debate?
And they can't blame him.
Right, they can't blame him.
He has dementia.
But they should be talking about Dr. Jill. Yeah. Dr. Jill, she's a medical. Oh wait, no, she's not. But she knew better than anybody, and she shoved him Weekend at Bernie style out onto that stage.
You think it was her? You think that she's? If you had to blame,
I blame her. She's not the only one, but she's the number one person to blame. It's disgusting. I would never want this done to me by my spouse, and I would never do this to my spouse. Never. That you're supposed to be looking out for them in sickness and in health, and be able to step away from power, which she couldn't. Tariff wars, stubborn inflation, no wonder gold's been routinely hitting all-time highs. In volatile markets like the one we have now, don't sit on the sidelines. You can take control and safeguard your savings. That's why so many are turning to Birch Gold Group. They've helped tens of thousands convert an existing IRA or 401k into one in physical gold. It's time for you to hedge against the economic instability with gold. Text MK to 989898. Birch Gold will send you a free, no-obligation info kit. Text MK to 989898. A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, countless 5-star reviews. Birch Gold is there for you. MK to 989898 today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.